Hey everybody, we're here today for a little commentary. I've been seeing just some news on the pandemic. Record highs, 7 months in. We have more cases than the entire European Union. Just Arizona has more cases, new cases, than the European Union. So this also relates to the idea of American exceptionalism. A lot, even people who disagree on politics, policy, all kinds of things, cultural issues. For a long time, they agreed and had pride that America was number one.
You sure about that?
Now, is that true? Um, yes and no. There are areas we are number one, and there are areas we're not. Uh, they vary in importance and where you rank them based on your beliefs, your opinions, what you think is important, your priorities. Um, we do have the American dream. We are one of the richest and most prosperous countries in the world. Uh, we're a leader in technology, economics, politics, and democracy. I mean, we have one of the most successful democracies ever. We're coming up on 250 years. 1776, it's 2020. So, but we also lead the world in number of people who believe a worldwide pandemic is a hoax. We lead in the number of people who think masks suffocate you, or don't work to help prevent the spread of germs, despite decades of them being used successfully for exactly that purpose in the medical field and never suffocating anyone.
It's funny, these people, they go to sleep. They think everything's fine, everything's good. They wake up the next day and they're on fire.
We are nowhere near the top, not even the top 40, in our coronavirus response. The amount we've allowed it to spread, the ability to flatten the curve, or the number of deaths. And now, while flattening the curve is a reality for most of the world, most, not all, but most of the world, we're seeing new highs.
Nah, cooking. Yeah, dude.
Pork chop sandwiches. Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Go! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot! Fuck!
New highs in new cases, not just total cases, new cases. And I mean, I don't believe being first in the world in number of deaths from a pandemic that there are lines of defenses there are measures to take to help prevent it just going wild.
Mr. Bottom Massage Machine, go!
It's been, I mean, what, Japan had 1,000 deaths? We have 130 and counting, while they're not even documenting new cases. New Zealand reopened rugby matches, arenas full of people not wearing masks because they haven't had a new case in weeks, because they took the steps for long enough to weed that virus out. On an island nation with a much smaller population, they did it faster than we could, no matter what. But we're not doing the things they're doing. So we're not even trying to catch up to them. We're just going on our own road, a misinformed, just anti-science road that, I mean, there's not even odds that they would end in the same destination. But whatever. There are signs that maybe it's getting a little better. We're setting new records for the amount of cases, but I did see that Donald Trump wore a mask recently. And his campaign manager, Brad Parscale, spread it far and wide through social media. That's a good thing. It's way too late because millions of people are following his lead. I mean, there's proof of that, but if he had been on the mask train earlier, we would be far better off now. That's, sorry, just true. If almost everyone in this country wore masks in reasonable situations, not while you're jogging alone, but not even in your car necessarily, but from your car to the store, in the store, wear a mask. Sanitize your hands. The whole no mask thing has, measurably worsened the situation. States that have leaders, governors, no matter what their party, that didn't buy into measures that bigger cities took because they got hit harder earlier, so they took it more seriously earlier. I mean, I get why rural areas might not have, or certain areas might not have, because they weren't seeing it, and seeing is believing. But we were seeing it in other areas. We were seeing it worldwide, so that should have been your seeing is believing. It doesn't have to happen to you for you to see that this is a real thing, and there are measurable ways to help fight it. But that's a tangent. I do have proof that my opinion of Trump wearing a mask is a good thing and might actually change a lot of minds, which is good because it can only help slow down the spread. A lot of people who follow him on Twitter and comment have been documented saying something when he wasn't wearing a mask, and how they thought it was like, a conspiracy to try to make you wear a mask, or they thought masks were bad, or they thought they don't work, whatever it was. They said that publicly on social media. And then recently, they also said publicly, something that's trackable, that he looks badass, that where can they get this mask? They want to start wearing the mask. So that, in my opinion, is a good thing. Sure, it's pathetic that there's sheep who are incapable of forming their own informed opinion and dim-wittedly follow the president, despite all evidence pointing to the contrary. But it's good. That sheep-like quality is actually a good thing in this case, because he did the right thing. He's finally doing the right thing with masks. It's been proven time and time again during this 7-month period, worldwide, not just here, that masks, they're not foolproof. I mean, vaccines aren't foolproof. They're just the most effective. So much like that, mask is just a line of defense to protect yourself from viruses, bacteria, sickness. It's just a line of defense. Why wouldn't you want to strengthen your defenses? Why wouldn't you want to take whatever measures you could to reasonably limit your exposure and the exposure of everyone around you from you? So these people following him blindly, it's not a good thing. People should be informed. They should be making their own informed opinions on these things based on, statistics and facts that we all should be recognizing are just facts. They're not arguable. But in this case, he did the right thing. He wore a mask. He got documented publicly wearing a mask, despite obviously thinking for a long time it was very obvious that he thought he would look silly, and that was his biggest reason, because he gets tested daily, weekly, whatever it is, but it's frequent. So does everyone around him. So he could reasonably get away with not wearing a mask and still know whether he's protected or not, because everyone around him and himself are constantly being tested. That's not true for the rest of us. So masks are good, but he finally did it, and it's already showing that the sheeple 20 to 30% are following him. Good. I'm glad it happened, because it was very, very possible that he would never change his mind on that or be documented wearing a mask. But anyway, maybe that will help us get to this whole number one thing, that, Wouldn't it be great if we were number one in length of time since a new case? Length of time since a corona death? Wouldn't that be better to be number one in than total number of deaths? But this isn't a new occurrence. I mentioned some of the other stats we're not first in. Some of them are important. The pandemic has made it clear, but a lot of this has been going on for decades in a lot of categories. I mean, one of the ones that always sticks in my mind is infant mortality rate. Now, this stat is a decade old. It's not gotten better, but the fact that it's not this president, the last president, or the president before him. It's just, this has been the case across politics, across leaders. It doesn't matter. For some reason, we've allowed this, and all of our leaders have allowed this. Infant mortality, we are ranked 178th in the world. There are 207 countries. Okay, we're not last, but 177 other countries are better than us in the infant mortality rate. We have more infants dying than 177 other countries on a percentage level. We have a big population, much bigger than a lot of those other countries. Not all of those other countries, but a lot of them. But it's a percentage of the population. So it doesn't matter what size their population is. Our percentage is still worse than 177 other countries in infant mortality. That's pathetic. But those decade-old stats and some of the things, I mean, I know it's controversial for a lot of people, but that clip from Newsroom was right. Roll it.
Question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all three of you. Can you say in one sentence or less what... you know what I mean. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No. I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world?
Well, Lewis and Sharon said it. Diversity and opportunity and freedom and freedom.
I'm not letting you go back to the airport without answering the question.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing. You don't look satisfied.
One's a set of laws and the other's a declaration of war. I want a human moment from you. What about the people? Why is America
not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. Enough?
But it's not all bad, okay? It's not. One great thing about this country is I disagree with the American exceptionalism to a fault mentality, but I do think we are exceptional in a lot of ways, and I think that we persevere. The modern generations have lost a little bit of that, I think, but there's hope. And I think that it's hard for this country to not have hope, on a majority level anyway. We can come together. We can improve in all these places. We're not just number one, but we're not even near the top tier. Let's at least be near the top tier. We can do that. We can improve these areas. Healthcare, the economy. A lot of these things have policies that are proven. We can use other countries as case studies. See where they went wrong, what worked, why didn't it work? Why did it work? Sort through all that and then look at how we can implement such things. The plan. What does it do? How does it work? Have we seen evidence that it can work in other similar countries with similar economies, politics, checks and balances? Can we adapt that to ours? Is it possible? A lot of the times the answer is yes. There's some form of that we can implement across all these areas that we are not even near the top in. And there's hope. If we identify a problem such as that we're number one in obesity, what are other countries doing that isn't totalitarian, that isn't, banning soda or banning fat food or whatever? The countries aren't ranked higher than us because they're doing stuff like that. There's just better ways to go about having the public be informed about what they put in their bodies and trusting them to make those decisions from there. But right now, we're trusting them to make those decisions with no information. And just, private corporations manipulating them and lying to them blatantly about what they're putting in their bodies. And, of course, we're number one in obesity. Why are we the worst in that? Why are we number one in that terrible stat? How are other people doing better than us per capita on that? There must be a reason. There must be ways to improve in that. And I think that with everything, I have hope that we can improve. The first part of solving any problem like Will McAvoy said, is identifying that you have one and admitting that you have one. And so please just be willing to admit when statistics show that we have room to improve, and be willing to do so. If you think America is number one, if you think that if you believe in American exceptionalism, shouldn't you want us to improve in those areas? Shouldn't you want the perception, even if you disagree with it, even if you disagree with the numbers, shouldn't you want the perception by everyone else who sees and agrees with those numbers to be, no, we are number one. And you know how you do that? You make us number one in those areas, so no one can argue with you on that fact. But then you have to improve. You have to actually critically look at those things and go, hey, what can we do better? How can we be better? This applies to cultural. This applies to political. We can make changes. Being stagnant because you're used to something and used to how things work doesn't mean they're good or okay or working. And another thing, my one last point really here is wanting to improve America is loving America. You want it to be better. You want it to be the best. It's not hating America. Criticism is not hating your country. It is wanting to make it as great as everyone else is talking about. In every way, empirically, there's no room to argue. We are one of the best. But we're not. Too many ways show that we're not. So let's work on those and make it so. It just seems logical to me. I don't know. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that made sense. I don't know. I actually wrote some notes for this one. Threw in some clips, which you've seen by now. Put some thought into this. It's not as much rambling. I tried to have some more structure, but I can't help myself. I also can't help that I talk with my hands. Alright. I think on that note I should end it. But I wanted to end it with a slightly lighter clip. And I hope that everyone is doing well. And I hope that you enjoy this little bit of silliness. And I will see you in the next video. Roll it.
Cats and kittens, grab your mittens. It's Will McAvoy and Van Morrison taking you through the night and into the mystic.
Why didn't you tell me?
Let's take some calls. Who do we have on the line? Freddie, it's Mackenzie from Midtown. You're talking to the Nightbird.
Why didn't you tell me you were taking off the 9/11 anniversary?
What are you doing up this late, Mackenzie from Midtown?
Charlie just called me to ask how you were handling it, and I said, handling what?
It was the right thing to do, caller.
Bullshit.
Freddie, you better grab that 7-second delay.
Knock it off.
Let's not make it a big deal.
You're okay with this?
I am. Can I go back to sleep?
You're in bed?
It's the middle of the night.
Why is there music playing?
Same reason your night light's on right now.
All right.